Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Brewer's Minute. So a few weeks ago, we talked about 10 commander combos for mono white decks, and today we're going to continue on with that subseries and talk about some blue commander combos. So if you're looking for ways to spice up some of your mono blue commander decks, or of course, if you're playing blue with another color, they work as well. They don't have to be mono blue, but they are all legal in mono blue decks. We've got some super sweet options to spice up those decks for you today. So anyway, a quick reminder before we break down 10 commander combos for blue decks. If you enjoy Brewer's Minute and the other series here on the channel, it would be amazing of you if you could take a quick second, click that subscribe button down in the corner of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's jump right into our list, starting with number 10, which is one of my favorites. Tunnel Vision plus, for example, we'll use Hinder, but basically any card that can put a card on the bottom of your opponent's library. So you could use Spell Crumple, you can use Vendilion Click or Proteus Staff, anything that gets a card on the bottom of your library that you know about. And then it's really simple. You get that card on the bottom of your opponent's library, however you want to do it, and then you simply cast Tunnel Vision, targeting your opponent, naming that card. The end result is going to be your opponent's basically going to dump their entire library, except for that one card that you know about on the bottom, into their graveyard. So that means they're basically on a 2-turn clock. They're going to draw that one card they know about the next turn. The next turn, they're going to mill themselves out. They're going to lose the game. And then, if you have ways to get the combo pieces back from the graveyard, the Tunnel Visions with Snapcaster Mages or Chaomancers or whatever, then you can turn your focus onto another opponent and maybe mill out everyone that way. So if you're looking for a one-shot way to mill an opponent of your choosing, like Tomer, out of the game, Tunnel Vision and Hinder, or any other card that puts a card on the bottom of your opponent's library, is a sweet way to do it. Moving on to number 9 on our list, we have a really simple, straightforward 2-card infinite mana combo. So that is Power Artifact with Basalt Monolith or Grim Monolith. So this one's pretty simple. Power Artifact makes the activation cost of an artifact that it is enchanting costs 2 less. So if we put it on Basalt Monolith, we basically have a Basalt Monolith that says tap it to add 3 mana and then untap it for just a single mana. Normally it's 3 mana to untap it, but you can untap it for just 1 mana with Power Artifact. Grim Monolith, kind of the same deal. You tap it for 3, normally 4 to untap it, but with Power Artifact only 2 to untap it. So you can probably see how this works. You tap the Basalt Monolith for 3, untap it for 1, that's 2 mana left over. Do it again, do it again, do it again. The end result is you have infinite colorless mana, when then you should be able to figure out a way to win the game from there. So I promise, we're not doing all infinite mana combos. I think our next combo is the only other strictly infinite mana combo on our list, but we might as well get it out of the way. This one, number 8 on our list, Pail and Cron plus Phantasmal Image. So this is another one that's pretty simple. Pail and Cron, when it enters the battlefield, it untaps up to 7 lands, and then you can pay 4 to bounce it back to your hand. The trick here is, if you get down your Pail and Cron, and you have a Phantasmal Image to copy your Pail and Cron, you can cast Phantasmal Image for 2 mana, copy Pail and Cron, so you tap all your lands for mana, then it untaps them all. Then you can pay 4 mana, bounce the Phantasmal Image version of Pail and Cron back to your hand, 2 mana to recast it. Basically, that loop is 6 mana, 2 to cast, 4 to bounce, but every time you're tapping and untapping, you are making 7 mana, so that's 1 extra mana that's left over, which is essentially infinite mana. The nice thing about this combo is, unlike our last combo with Power Artifact and Basalt Monolith, you can make mana of any color that your lands can produce. So in a mono blue deck, you're probably going to make blue mana, but this works in multicolor decks as well, so you can make infinite mana of any color of your choosing with Pail and Cron and Phantasmal Image copying it, as long as you got 7 lands on the battlefield. Coming in at number 7 on our list, we have a really janky but super fun 3-card combo. So this one, you need a Banishing Knack or Retraction Helix. They're the same card. Retraction Helix is a functional reprint of Banishing Knack. Then you need a 0 mana artifact. So for our purposes, let's go with Darksteel Relic, because Darksteel Relic is definitely the jankiest way to pull this off. But you can use any 0 mana artifact of your choosing. Finally, you need Mirren Spy or Battered Golem. Either one works. The basic idea is you cast the Banishing Knack, deck or Retraction Helix, targeting the Mirror Inspire Battered Golem, whichever one you have, and then you have a, let's say, Battered Golem that you can tap to bounce a permanent to its owner's hand. So you bounce the Darksteel Relic, then you replay the Darksteel Relic, which untaps the Battered Golem, which still has the Banishing Neck ability where you can tap it to bounce something, so you bounce the Darksteel Relic again, repeat. The end result of this is basically infinite storm count. If you have something that deals a damage whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, you win the game. If you have a Brain Freeze in hand, you can just kill your opponent by literally storming off. So there's tons of things you can do with infinite storm count, infinite enter the battlefield triggers. If you want to use Ornithopter instead of the Darksteel Relic, you have a creature entering the battlefield. If you have like a Perforos or some other ability that cares about creatures entering the battlefield. But if you're looking for a way to replay the same 0 mana artifact over and over and over again, Banishing Neck or Retraction Helix with Mirror Inspire Battered Golem, good way to get the job done. Moving on to number 6 on our list. This one is super weird, but it's super sweet. So this one requires an equipment that costs 0 to equip. So for our purposes, let's go with Shoku. Because again, I like the janky ones, like Darksteel Relic. Shoku has got to be the jankiest equipment that you can equip for 0. And then all else you need is a Cephalid Aristocrat or Cephalid Illusionist. So Cephalid Aristocrat and Illusionist have an ability where whenever they're targeted by something, you get milled. So all you need to do is keep repeatedly equipping the Shoku for 0 onto your Cephalid creature, which is going to let you mill your entire deck. So why would you want to mill your entire deck? And I think the answer here is probably Laboratory Maniac, but you can always stop milling. If you just want to mill a whole bunch of cards and cast a Living End or something, that's an option as well, or try to reanimate stuff, or whatever you're trying to do with your graveyard. But if you're looking for a way to just turbo mill as many cards of your deck as possible, up to literally all of them in your mono blue deck, Shoku or any 0 mana equipping equipment combined with a Cephalid creature like Aristocrat or Illusionist is a great option. Moving on to number 5 on our list, we have some infinite untapping potential here with Apheto Alchemist and Illusionist Bracers. So Apheto Alchemist lets you tap to untap something. Illusionist Bracers, if it's equipped to the Alchemist, lets you do that twice. It basically doubles up that untap trigger. So by itself, you can just keep tapping and untapping the Alchemist. The real trick, though, is you get 2 of those triggers. So if you throw, let's say, Prodigal Sorcerer into the mix, you can tap your Alchemist to untap itself and to untap your Prodigal Sorcerer, pinging your opponent in between with the Prodigal Sorcerer. So it's basically a mono blue infinite damage combo. If you have Illusionist Bracers, Apheto Alchemist, along with Prodigal Sorcerer, you can also draw your entire deck with Sensei's Divining Top. So Sensei's Divining Top is worded a little bit weirdly, but basically you tap Sensei's Divining Top as the cost, and then the ability is to draw a card and put Sensei's Divining Top on the top of your library. However, if you have the Alchemist Illusionist Bracers combo, you can activate Sensei's Divining Top 50 times, 100 times, however many you want in response to the putting it on top of the library trigger. So you'll have this huge trigger of draw a card, draw a card, draw a card, draw a card, draw a card. Eventually your top is going to go back on the top of the library, but by that point you'll have your entire deck in your hand. So if you want to draw your entire deck, or just kill all of your opponents with Prodigal Sorcerer, keep in mind Apheto Alchemist and Illusionist Bracers as a really sweet, super janky option. Coming in at number 4 on our list, we got some more jank. This one is cool because one of the key combo pieces is actually a commander, so you have access to that one all the time. Patron of the Moon, combined with Amulet of Vigor and something like Storm Cauldron. So Patron of the Moon lets you put 2 land cards from your hand into play tapped for just a single mana. However, if you have out an Amulet of Vigor, those lands are going to untap. So it's basically pay 1, put 2 lands into play, which equal 2 mana if they untap. The final step to the puzzle is having that Storm Cauldron, which actually makes it so whenever a land is tapped for mana, it bounces back to its owner's hand. So you can see what's going on here. You make infinite mana, put 2 lands into play, tap them both, they bounce back to your hand, pay 1 for your Patron of the Moon, 2 lands into play, tap them for mana, bounce it back to your hand. But more than that, it's not just infinite mana, you also get infinite landfall triggers, which means if you have something like a Hedron Crab, you just mill out your opponent's entire deck. Or if you're in another color, you can make infinitely huge plant tokens with Avenger Zendikar, or whatever landfall trigger you're looking to trigger. So if you want a cool commander-centric way to make infinite mana, but also go infinite with landfall triggers, remember Patron of the Moon, combined with Amulet of Vigor and Storm Cauldron. Moving on to number 3 on our list, we have Mirror Turbine with Intruder Alarm and March of the Machine. So the idea here is pretty simple. Mirror Turbine, taps to make a mirror token. Intruder Alarm is an infamous combo piece, makes it so no creatures untap. However, when a creature enters the battlefield, all creatures untap. And then March of the Machines makes non-creature artifacts into creatures. So the idea is pretty simple. You turn the Mirror Turbine into a creature, and now you have a creature that taps to make a mirror token. You tap the Mirror Turbine, make the mirror token, Intruder Alarm untaps the Mirror Turbine. The end result of this is infinite mirror tokens, which is basically like the same combo as Steward of Solidarity or Thraben Doomsayer, except legal in your mono blue deck. You gotta go through the extra step for March of the Machines, but no one is gonna expect infinite token Intruder Alarm in a mono blue deck, because that's just not usually how it works. Moving on to number 2 on our list, we have some Ultra Jank. So I intentionally tried to not include infinite turn combos because I don't think that infinite turn combos are especially fun in Commander. However, I did include one because it is so janky, I just couldn't resist including it. And that comes in at number 2 on our list. And we are talking about Beacon of Tomorrows with Manipulate Fate and Mirror of Fate. So if you're looking for an infinite combo for your Fate tribal deck, this is probably the way to go. The idea here is you cast Manipulate Fate to exile the Beacon of Tomorrows. Then use Mirror of Fate to exile your library, putting just the Beacon of Tomorrows back into your deck. So you only have one card in your deck. It's Beacon of Tomorrows. That means every turn you're going to draw Beacon of Tomorrows, cast Beacon of Tomorrows, get an extra turn. Your one card in your deck is that Beacon of Tomorrows. You draw it again, you cast it again, you go infinite. The problem is you got 0 other cards in your deck. So you got to make sure you have a way to win the game on the battlefield, because if your opponent has something as simple as like a counter spell on your Beacon, all of a sudden you are out of luck. You're going to die to milling yourself out. So it's certainly a high risk combo, but the jank level is off the charts, featuring not 1, but 2 Fate cards. So anyway, that brings Beacon of Tomorrows with Manipulate Fate and Mirror of Fate in at number 2 on our list. Finally, number 1 on our list, and this is kind of a tradition, we have a way to hard lock opponents out of the game. This one's really simple. Faerie, Mage of Zelfur with Knowledge Pool. So Knowledge Pool, really weird card. Enters the battlefield. Each player exiles the top 3 cards of their library. Then whenever that player casts a spell from their hand, it gets exiled and they cast that card, and they can cast one of the cards exiled with Knowledge Pool instead. So normally it's this weird random effect. However, if you have down a Faerie Mage of Zelfur, which, remember, is a legend, so this could be your commander, it makes it so your opponents can only cast spells at times when they could cast sorcery, and you can't cast the card from Knowledge Pool as a sorcery. There's already another ability on the stack, so that means none of your opponents can cast anything if you have down Knowledge Pool into Faerie. However, this doesn't affect you, so you can still just keep casting stuff, playing stuff from under Knowledge Pool, having a good old time, while your opponents can do literally nothing for the rest of the game, at least from their hand. They can cast stuff that's not from their hand, because that doesn't get impacted by Knowledge Pool, so look out for flashback cards or whatever, but it locks hands and any spells being casted from hands out of the game forever. Anyway, those have been our top 10 commander combos for blue decks. So what do you think? What is your favorite combo for blue decks? What is your favorite commander for blue decks? Well, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.